Alright guys, Simon here, and I would like to officially welcome you to the Boundary Wall Project completion ceremony. Yeah! Hold on, fireworks. Um, uh, Click. Yeah, fireworks. Yeah! Clap, 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 applause, yeah! So the Boundary Wall Project started in February 2011, and now in October 2013 it's completed. So I've got a small speech prepared, if you would indulge me a little bit. So the boundary wall, originally it was conceived to serve three functions. First of all is defense. I mean, it's designed to keep out all the spiders and creepers and skeletons and zombies, right? But more than that, it's a symbol. It's a symbol of me claiming territory from the infinite wilderness of Minecraft. Because, when you first start a game, you got nothing. So you make a house to protect yourself from creepers, and hopefully you don't get destroyed by creepers and then skeletons and zombies and whatnot. And as I played Minecraft, I just kept expanding the wall. So you build a house, that's great. You build a wall around it so you have more space to work, that's great. And then you build more buildings, you build a crystal tower, and you kind of just keep expanding and expanding. And this wall, this boundary wall, it's a symbol of that. I mean, if I just wanted to keep out spiders, I don't have to build it this massive. But it's it's not only for defense, but also to define what is my territory, what I've come to consider my home in my Minecraft world. And thirdly, it's also the boundary of Alpha, and Alpha being the original terrain that was generated by the alpha version of Minecraft all the way back in 2011 and 2010 in fact. So that's the boundary because after they introduced biomes and a new terrain generation algorithm, there were chunk boundaries between the old terrain and the new terrain, and where those chunk boundaries are, I built the wall. So everything within the boundary wall is alpha, is the old terrain, and I've pretty much kept inside it so far, although I do plan to expand out into a desert and maybe like a mesa later on. What do you call it? Badlands or something. Anyway, when 1.7 comes out, then because there's going to be new biomes, and I'm going to go get clay and sand from the outside, I guess. But as I've spent these 2.5 years or so building this thing, I guess the wall has also become like a symbol of perseverance, and the idea that an epic goal can be accomplished if you keep working at it, right? I mean, it took 2.5 years. Obviously, not continuously. I didn't just kind of play 2.5 years non-stop of Minecraft and just kind of keep doing this the whole time. So I've done other things in the meantime, but it took a while, and now it's finished. It's a massive project, and I'm not sure what I was thinking when I started it. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but it turned out to be just really long and repetitive and a lot of kind of hard work, really. Well, I don't know, it's not hard work, it's playing video games, right? But it took a while. It took a while. I could have given up, I could have just, gave up and not finished it. But I kept at it, and it's finished. And a lot of people say that's the secret to success. Obviously, there's more to success than just keep doing the same thing over and over again. But one of the main ingredients, I guess, to success is you keep doing it, because most projects don't succeed immediately. And I'm sadly I can say that from my own experience. A lot of things don't just work right away. I mean, I put up Minecraft videos or another video game videos. I don't have that many subscribers. It doesn't really work that well. I mean, I'm quite happy that you guys are watching, but I'm not a big YouTuber. But I keep doing it because one, I like playing video games, and it's raining. It's useful for me to to analyze games and all that. So it's good for me, and I guess it's entertaining enough for you guys as well. But I guess if you just keep doing it, then things will grow and things will happen. If you don't do it, nothing happens. But if you just keep doing it, maybe you'll catch a break. Maybe you'll get on. Get to where you want to go. So I guess this boundary wall, I think, is, I mean, ultimately I think that's the it's what it's become. Like it's a symbol of perseverance and how that is a key recipe or a key ingredient in the recipe for success. And I say this as the sun majestically rises above my head. Alright, I'm gonna stop the speech because I've probably talked way too much already. Cake. Nom 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 nom. Nom nom nom. I'm full. Okay, I can't eat anymore. I'll come back for you. Cake. I'll be back. Alright, and now if you'll indulge me, or maybe you want to do this as well, we are going to walk around the entire boundary wall. Let's go to the top of this thing, or maybe close to the top. Let's just go right to the top. And we're gonna... Oh, I should stop the circuit or something, shouldn't I? Hold on. Ah, never mind, I can run. Alright, let's climb to the top, and we'll walk all the way around. I'm not sure if that's gonna be interesting for you guys. Actually, this will be the first time you've seen it, hasn't it? Because this is the first time you've seen the whole wall completed. Alright, so this is gonna be new for you guys. Although, okay, let's just take this slowly and then do a bit of sightseeing as we climb to the top here. Yeah, so you guys would have seen the southern and western segments of the wall, because that was completed earlier, but the northern and eastern parts, this is the eastern part of it, you would not have seen before, have you? So we start off here at the skyscraper. So the skyscraper is obviously much taller. This is the old height limit, right, of 128. That's the new height limit. I don't even remember what the number is. And, well, that's another massive project that's gonna take a long time to finish. But again, if you just keep working at it, one day it'll be finished. And that's the that's the lesson, I guess, and that's the moral of the story, I guess. It's got a lot of work to do. Alright, let's just walk. And I do build things at scale quite often, because, you know, why do small things when you can do big things? That's kind of my mentality too. I don't know how sensible that is, but I always feel like, you know, if you're gonna do something, you might as well make it big, if you can, right? Although I do small projects too, so those, you know, little projects there, so there's a stone thing there, a timber thing there, and a glass thing there, they're like kind of small projects, just experimenting and trying out little things. And in contrast, you know, just behind it, there's the massive statues, the Sentinels and Aquaria. Remember those? Yes, giant statues. I quite enjoy building giant statues, actually. It's quite I find that it's interesting the whole way through, whereas, you know, with most buildings, you end up working, like you end up designing a pattern and then just following the pattern. Whereas when you build statues, you kind of have to think about it the whole way through. Like there's no pattern really, because the whole thing is just a unique shape every time you make a new statue, right? Well, I mean, those two are copies, so I guess that's not entirely true. But if you choose to make, you know, unique statues, then every part of it is unique. So it's actually not as repetitive as, you know, say a building. So there we go. That's another major project down at the southeastern corner of Alpha. And then there's not too much going on. I mean, you can ignore the stuff outside. That's probably going to be deleted as soon as 1.7 comes out and new terrain generated. There's actually two boundaries. There's like the old boundary to Alpha, and then the stuff that appeared just after Alpha, and then the even later stuff. I'm not going to do another wall out there. That's kind of silly. But, you know, the terrain generation algorithm has changed quite a bit over time. So there's going to be this weird gap between Alpha and the outside. That's going to be always like that. So back here is a little bit of wilderness. There's quite a few trees back here too. And a bit of mountain. So the home base, the storage, and the crystal tower is on the other side of that mountain. And yeah, I might do something with this mountain. Extend the hanging gardens. Like, it's basically like gardens on a mountain. Extend that there. There's also like a cave. You can see that barely. There's an enclosed area there with the pretty epic cave. I might do a statue in there as well. You see how there's cliffs there, so maybe like gardens on top of this mountain, along the mountain range. That's not high priority. I've been thinking about that for a long time now. But that's one thing we can do. I have no idea what I might do back here though. Might just keep it as a forest. I don't know. So the hanging gardens you can barely see it in the distance there. You can see there's a few constructed bits on top of that hill there. There's like a mountain there, and there's kind of constructed platforms and walkways around it, and then more trees planted there. Not entirely sure if that was successful, but it was interesting. It creates some interesting moments in terms of light and shadow, and you know, the enclosure and exposure and then things like that. So just the interesting spaces, let's say. And you know, it's also interesting in the sense that it's quite vertical too. You know, whereas most of the game it is quite, or most of experience is kind of quite horizontal. You see like, you know, a big giant horizontal pathway, and you know, most of the land lies flat. I mean, I understand there's kind of that, you know, hills like that or mountains like that, but most things are horizontal. So vertical things are interesting in a way, if that makes sense. Alright, so the hollow mountain is here. I call it the hollow mountain because it's hollow. That's pretty recent. And recently we've built some statues on the other side there. You can see the top of them there. There's statues there. And then inside we built a mountain temple and a monastery. So again, these projects aren't that big, but they're experiments, I would call them. Especially the monastery, like it's a different way of doing things. The monastery, I deliberately tried to, you know, incorporate a number of different architectural styles in one building. So you can see the temple there, and you can see walkways around the mountain above it, and there's like a waterfall back there. The monastery is stuck back there behind the trees, so you can't see it. And there's like a big gateway at the front. It's actually quite interesting from this angle too. It is very interesting. There's pathways everywhere. Or there's, you know, you can see the pathways come all the way up to the top here. There's pathways everywhere. There's different styles of buildings. It's kind of interesting. It's not as imposing as the skyscraper, you know, not as majestic or anything like that, but quite intricate and quite interesting in that way. Detailed. Well, it's not that detailed. But you know, it's more. It's a different scale, and it explores a different style of designing and of thinking. So you can see the four statues there, just kind of stumpy little things, looking to the north, and you know, guarding the gateway, which is there. I think I've done fairly well with it. I mean, the shape of the mountain is pretty much preserved. And I've just kind of added these things into the hollow mountain. So we're respecting the original shape of the mountain, but we've also added a few built things into it to make it interesting. I think that's a good way to approach things, because I mean, you know, when the game, or I guess even in real life, if the world gives you, you know, an interesting piece of land to work from, I mean, it's not really that sensible to just kind of bulldoze it flat and build your building there, no matter how interesting your building is. If your actions destroy the interesting landscape that was there before, then you've kind of wasted that landscape. So somehow preserving the interesting landscape, but also creating interesting buildings. I think that's how architects should look at it. I think I've done that with the Hollow Mountain. There's still room to build more stuff there, and I might come back and add more things there. But for now, I think I've done pretty well with that. Like, I've kind of respected the shape of the mountain while putting in these buildings. So out here we have ocean, which is not interesting. Ocean on one side and pretty much ocean on the other too. There's a bit of a beach there. I'm not sure what I want to do there. Can't think of anything at the moment. There's a light there because there's a cave down there that opens into the ocean too, which is kind of a bit strange. So at the northwestern corner of the map, there's a few beaches and there's a few hills. See, there's a bit of grass there, but there's a few trees there. It's I have no idea what I want to do here. Like the landscape is not too interesting, but you know there's kind of water and there's land. It's like when you look down on it, it's kind of interesting. But you're walking around on the surface, it's not that interesting. It's just kind of sand and then hills and trees. Nothing really comes to mind. I guess we can just leave it for now. There's a lot of water though. I mean, we can always make like a beach resort or something, like a village by the sea or something. That might be nice, because I guess that's a natural harbor. Maybe like a beach resort there. I guess that's also like a natural harbor. Actually, when you look at it from above, it's kind of interesting. It's just that when you're down there, you're just kind of walking around trying to swim across these little bits of water, and it's not that interesting when you're down there on the ground. And also, it's pretty close to the wall. And now that the giant wall is in place, whatever you build has to take into account that there's a giant wall there. It's always going to be, the background to your designs. So that's something to think about as well. So now we're at the northwest corner of the wall. We've gone past halfway already. Alright, so let's head back east. And as you can see, this is, just kind of funny shapes. Maybe we can build some stuff out here. A beach resort. I've also haven't built anything underwater yet. That's always an interesting challenge. Maybe like an underwater thing. Because there's a harbor over there. Things to think about. Well, I've built... Actually, we'll see it later on. I've built something underneath the lagoon. The water temple, if you guys remember that one. But that's not really underwater. I mean, technically it's underwater, but it's only like 3 blocks underwater, right? It's not really deep water. So, something in the deep ocean might be interesting. So we got spits of obsidian sticking out from the ground. That's the actual fireworks project. Well, not actual fireworks project, more like a set of vertical TNT cannons, which look like fireworks when you fire them. I don't play with that as much as I would like to, because TNT is kind of expensive in terms of how much resources it uses up. But it's really impressive when you fire like 25 blocks of TNT high up into the air and it explodes in the air. That's pretty cool. That's pretty fun. So that's the fireworks project. I've been thinking we'll do a bit of landscaping around here. So, probably just kind of turn this into sort of a formal park. And, define the grid a bit more. But nothing big on the surface. It's kind of a few changes to the surface to make it look a bit more tidy. And to, clearly define the boundaries of the fireworks project. Over there, where that beacon is the water temple. It's underneath the water, so you can't really see anything from here. That's also not finished. Again, I've done something underground, or in this case underwater, and I still need to do some stuff in the hills around it. I mean, it's a pretty cool lagoon. Like, there's hills surrounding a pool of water that's roughly circular. I mean, it's perfect. It's a perfect site to do something. Which I have. So I've built the water temple and experiments with light and shadows underneath the water, which is pretty interesting too. And I guess just some landscaping around here, maybe some terraces and maybe a few architectural things, like a few what do you call it? Pavilions? Yeah, a few pavilions around the edge. Nothing too fancy though. I want to keep it pretty low key. Maybe just use cobblestone or smooth stone or stone slabs. Just keep it pretty low key so we don't take away from the natural beauty of the place. Again, I talk about that. You know, if the game gives you an interesting piece of land, you might as well preserve it instead of bulldozing a flat. And I said that before with the Hollow Mountain. I guess I can say the same thing for the lagoon here. We want to keep this interesting, but also make it slightly more appealing. In fact, looking down at them, before I built the boundary wall, I couldn't come up here. Well, I could, but I wouldn't. I mean, you have to pillar up 64 blocks just to look down on the terrain. But now that I'm up here, you can see how there's kind of flat areas at the top of these hills. And you can see how there's kind of a higher bit there, and then it kind of slopes down this way. I don't notice these things from the ground, because from the ground you just see the cliff. But up here, you can see that there's a flat area on top of the cliff. So that, by building this wall and looking down on things, you see new potential, or you see potential that you haven't noticed before. So that's also the value of building these things. Or I guess at least that's the value of pillaring up, or flying up, if you're in creative, and just looking down. Although sometimes, I look at other people build things, and they build in creative, and they fly around a little too much. I remember in one project, someone sent in, and they asked, does the top of the roof look strange? And I said, well, the only reason you see the top of your roof is because you fly around too much. Like you're in creative and you're just flying around. Like if you're walking on the ground like a normal person, you wouldn't see the top of the roof, so it doesn't even matter what it looks like. And that's basically how real-world architecture works. Oh, that's a shame. It's not loading in properly. Like in the real world, the tops of houses are usually not very interesting, because you don't see them. Like even architecture that's really interesting from the ground, if you look at the roof is usually kind of boring, because nobody sees it. And if nobody sees it, why make it look awesome? It's just a waste of time. Anyway, but if you do get up high and look down on things, it gives you a completely different perspective. Alright, so we're almost back where we started. So there's the skyscraper loading in slowly. And yeah, so I guess walking around the map, all we see is a bunch of unfinished projects. That's embarrassing. I guess I have to play more Minecraft. I mean, I have to finish them. I guess I have to play more Minecraft. What else can I do? Alright, so let us complete our tour and then get back down. And there we go. The official completion ceremony for the boundary wall. Look at this thing. Oh, the pistons. The pistons don't really work anymore. So this is like a piston elevator. It worked great before they changed the game to... They slowed down the redstone circuits so they don't glitch out as much. But now that it's slowed down, the timing is off. So ironically, it made the redstone escalator glitch out more than it did before. Like usually, it used to work really well. But now that they've slowed down the circuitry to make redstones glitch less, they've made the escalator glitch a lot more. I've been thinking about that. Maybe I can change it so that it works. It won't be as efficient. It won't be as elegant as it is now. I'm thinking if I can somehow oh wait, that's not gonna work. I don't know what I'm talking about. I think if I slow down the delay between the bottom piston and the top piston, I think that would actually fix it. It'll make the escalator a bit slower, but also make it work. I might work on that next, because it doesn't require too many resources. See if I can figure that one out. Alright, so I'll stop rambling, and there we go. The Oh, I'm gonna put the save file up as well. So in the video description, you'll find a link to the original video when I first started the war, and I also put a link up for the save world, or the world save, if you guys want to have a look at the Boundary War now that it's complete for yourself and your own computer. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video.